A couple of weeks ago, I made a video where I said that I am closing my free trade account with my dividend portfolio. You can watch this video here, and I will also include the link to this video in the description box below this video. In that video, I explained the reasons of why I don't want to continue investing with free trade, but I never really explained the reasons of why I decided to get rid of my dividend portfolio completely. As you can understand, I'm not going to move it to a different platform. I am just not going to create another dividend portfolio on a different platform as well. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about the main reasons of why I decided to do that. I'll try to be as objective as possible, so I'm also going to tell you about the advantages of dividend stocks. And so by the end of the video, you will hopefully be able to decide for yourself whether dividend stocks is something that's good for you or not. So if you want to know the answers to these questions, then please keep watching this video. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anastasia. On this channel I talk about investing, and especially investing for beginners. This video in particular is going to be about dividend stocks. I think it's a sort of a fashion. Everybody's talking about dividend stocks. Everybody tells you that you must have a dividend stock portfolio, and you know this fashionable topic about passive investing and passive income in particular. And as one of the sources of passive income, lots of YouTubers and bloggers call dividend stocks. But is it really so? Is it really as good as they say? I tried investing into dividend stocks myself, and as you can understand from the title of this video, I decided that this idea is not for me. Maybe now is not the right time for me to invest into dividend stock. I have nothing really against it, and I'm sure I will try to do it again in the future, but at the moment I don't see any point in doing that. So let's start from the very beginning and try to understand what a dividend is. So a dividend is basically a payout that certain companies make to their shareholders, and this money that the company pays you is a part of their profit, the part of their assets. As a rule, you can rely on these dividends, but it also depends on the company. If the company goes bankrupt, then of course the dividend payments stop. That is why the majority of stable companies offer very little dividends, and the majority of new companies, those that are trying to attract new investors, they offer higher dividends as an attempt to attract more cash into their company. There are some advantages of dividends, both for companies and for the investor. As a company, paying dividends means that the investors who invest into this company are prone to be more loyal towards this company. Every time a company pays out its dividends, it means that the company is stable, it means that the company is profitable, so it's all good news. And because a lot of people are attracted to dividend stock, this also means that more people invest into this company, so the company itself gets more cash. I'm not saying that this is the case for all companies that pay dividends, but some companies definitely use this strategy to attract more investors, hoping that investors will invest into this company with the idea of getting some passive income out of it, and not necessarily looking at the numbers and the way of how the actual business grows. And the last advantage is dividends is a good way of using extra cash. Although every company, of course, would much rather reinvest the cash in order to grow faster, but I guess at some point some companies do get some extra cash which they not necessarily don't know how to use, but paying dividends doesn't affect their growth. They attract the new investors, and at the same time they use the cash that they possibly don't find a better way to use. As an investor, you also get some benefits from the dividend stocks. First of all, of course, is the predictable income, but as I said, some companies stop paying dividends once they bankrupt. In fact, a company has to be profitable in order to pay dividends. But as a rule, the majority of companies pay their dividends out regularly, so you as an investor can be sure that you will get every month a certain sum of money, which at the same time reduces your risk as an investor. On top of that, with just normal value investing, in order to get some profits, you have to sell your stock, whilst with dividend stock, you don't have to sell your shares, you get profit from dividends anyway. And remember that even though you get dividends, the value of actual shares that you hold in a certain company, the value of the shares grows anyway, so it's like a win-win situation for you. But the ultimate goal of creating a dividend portfolio usually is to create a passive income. Although some people, of course, reinvest the dividends into the stock anyway in order to make the compound interest work for them and grow their capital faster. But at some point, after years of investing and after investing a certain sum, every investor wants to reach a goal of living passively out of their investments. So investing into dividend stock is one of the ways of how you can reach this goal. And this is where the first problem lies for me. Because if I invest into dividend stock, for me, the main idea of doing it is to get some passive income. But let's try to understand how much you have to invest into dividend stock to be able to live passively out of it. And of course, it depends on each person, and each one of us has a different goal and a different sum in mind that we want to get every month passively. But as an average amount, let's take $1,000 per month. I've already made a video of how much money you need to invest into copy trading on eToro in order to get $1,000 per month. You can watch this video in this link here, and I will also add the link in the description box below this video. But the general conclusion of the video is that you cannot rely on getting $1,000 per month passively of copy trading, and it doesn't really matter how much money you have invested into eToro. This sort of investing involves risks. With dividend stock, the risks are much lower, and the good thing, the great benefit, and I would say the main benefit, is that you can actually rely on the dividends and on the sum of these dividends every single month. So this is a good thing. The bad news is that the dividend payment is usually very low. Of course, it always depends on the company, but for example, let's take three biggest companies, the most known companies for dividend payments. Those are Coca-Cola, and they pay 3%, McDonald's, that pays a little bit more than 2%, and Apple. Apple also pays dividends, but it's very little, it's around 0.6%. And this is generally the tendency of how companies that pay dividends work. The riskier the company, the higher the dividend payment is. As you can imagine, Apple is very stable, and people would probably invest into Apple anyway, even if they didn't pay dividends. But the dividend payment is so little, it doesn't affect the operational processes of Apple as a company, and at the same time, it keeps investors motivated to invest more money into Apple. With Coca-Cola is a different idea. Coca-Cola has been paying their dividends out for a very long time, and they also tend to increase their dividend payments, and I think it's a sort of a tradition for them. That's why, as for Coca-Cola, the dividend payment is actually quite high for such a stable company. But if we take on average 3% dividend payment from different companies, then we need to calculate how much money we need to have invested into our dividend stock portfolio in order to get $1,000 per month passively. And this sum would be $400,000. So if you have on average invested $400,000 into your dividend stock portfolio, then every month you can count on getting $1,000 per month. Don't forget that obviously the shares that you are holding grow in value at the same time as you get in this dividend. So if you invested $400,000 today, probably in 10 years, this $400,000 will grow in value, and you will end up with more money than what you've invested. But investing always involves risks, so no one can guarantee you that anyway. I just say that the chances are pretty high that that's gonna be the case, especially if you choose the right companies. Now let me tell you the reasons of why I think holding a dividend stock portfolio is not a good idea for me at this moment. So the first reason is the sum of money that I'd need to invest in order to live off it passively. As I said, to get $1,000, I need to invest $400,000 into my portfolio. And I know better places of how I can invest this sum that will bring me higher returns and also will be more stable. For example, the property market. I know for a fact that if I invest $400,000 into property, I'm gonna get more than $1,000 per month passively. And of course, the liquidity is low, but that is not a problem for me because I am not going to sell these houses, and I know that I invest into property for a very long term. I want to have these houses by the time I retire, and the property market is definitely not going anywhere. Whilst the companies that pay dividends, they may go bankrupt, if not now, then maybe in 20 or 30 years, and I constantly have to keep an eye on it, and I just don't see the point in doing it. The second reason is that the value of the actual company doesn't really change whether the company pays dividends or doesn't. By investing into companies that don't pay out dividends, I still hold the shares and I still become an owner of a little proportion of the company's assets. And all the money, all the profits that the company makes, I am a little owner of those profits as well. It's in my interest that the company that I invested in grows faster, and the quickest way to grow is by reinvesting the cash that they make. I would much rather invest into companies that reinvests the cash and shows the development, shows the progress, than the company that gets some cash and just pays it out to its shareholders. Because then I'd need to take this money and think about how I can use this money better than the company that I invest in order to make this money grow. As with the sums of money that I have invested so far into stock market, it wouldn't make any sense to take the dividend payments out and spend every month, because these sums are too little. I don't get too excited about seeing the £50 payment into my bank account every month that came out of dividends. It doesn't excite me because £50 doesn't make a big difference in my day-to-day life. So at the end of the day, in my case, the dividend payments just stay unused in my bank account, and in the best case scenario, just go and buy something in the shop for those £50. I'd much rather the company not pay dividends and grow, because with the growth of each company, the price of my shares that I hold in this company will grow as well. And the last reason, and it's a very important reason as well, is the tax payment. If you hold a stock of a US company, and the majority of the companies, the stocks of which I hold are US companies, you have to pay a tax of 30% on their dividends. I don't live in the US, but I live in the UK. There is an agreement between US and the UK, so as a UK resident, I pay only 15%. You would have to check this rule for your country because it may be different, but the point I'm trying to make here is that I end up investing 15% less through receiving dividends than if I never received them, because of this tax payment. And again, I want to make it clear, if I had much more money to invest, if I had about $1 million invested, then of course investing into dividend stock would make sense as a way of diversification of the sources of my passive income. But right now, as I am concentrating on growing my portfolio and not taking any money out for my day-to-day life, dividend stock portfolio just doesn't make any sense. If you can persuade me that I am wrong and that dividend stock is a great idea, then please leave your thoughts in the comment section below this video. And if you agree with me, then well, you can write anything you want in the comments, but please leave a comment because it really helps my channel and my videos. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope the general idea of investing into dividend stock became much clearer to you now. Thanks so much for your time and attention today, and I hope to see you soon in my next videos. Bye bye!